So best of luck to Anand. If they have a good lunch, Anand, it's your time to worry now. Okay. Take great pleasure in introducing you to the next keynote speaker of the afternoon. Quite a challenging slot immediately after lunch, but I'm sure our speaker is up to it. We're going to hear about aligning people practices with high maturity, and it's really great to see the dimension in all those many years of conferencing, and especially on technical topics. We've missed out the people dimension, and we always keep talking about as quality, the community, about the people, process, technology. And SEI, put the process. Initially, they had the process on top, and they had people in technology at the bottom of the triangle, right? The triad. And then they flipped it over, saying, no, it's people on top. They're the ones who run the technology and the processes. That's the importance that's been given, but we always seem to be missing out on this. It's good to see two of our keynote speakers today emphasizing on the aspects of people and habituation, institutionalization of high maturity sustenance of high maturity best practices and processes. So we're going to hear Anand Kumar, and my pleasure to introduce him, and may I please request you to give him a big round of applause. May I request Anand Kumar, Vice President, Process and Quality Management from Fiserv, to come on stage, please. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Anand. Let me briefly introduce him. Anand comes with over 22 years of industry experience, including a range of functions such as application delivery, relationship management, process improvement, quality assurance, testing, IT risk management. He heads the process and quality management at Fiserv currently, and is responsible for all process quality and testing functions, including the IT as well as the BPO, business excellence, the testing center of excellence, and the information security, risk and compliance. His involvement with CMM and CMMI goes back to more than 14 years. He's implemented these models in organizations and led them through the various assessment and appraisal journeys. And Fiserv itself has been a recently appraised CMMI Dev version 1.2 level 5 company. So Anand, welcome you here, and thank you for coming from Pune. Anand is based at Pune, and we'd like to hear from you about aligning people practices. Very few people talk on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Amber. Everyone can hear me, right? Excellent. Good afternoon. I had early lunch, so while most people were entering the lunch area, I was about to walk out, and I was thinking to myself, whatever I'm going to talk about, is it material enough? Is it complex enough? Is it meaningful enough to keep a whole lot of people awake just after lunch? So I thought the fact that it's scheduled just after lunch may actually be a good thing, because I can say whatever I want and get away with it. No one will ever know. I can say the exact opposite of what I've written on the slides and still get away with it. So what we're going to talk about today is aligning people practices with high maturity. And high maturity in this context, in the context of today's colloquium here, it refers to high maturity on the CMMI scale. Right? That's what we are referring to as high maturity here. So here what we are going to talk about is how people and processes can move together, and what happens if they do not move together. Before I begin, I'll ask my colleague Rashim Arora here. She's sitting in front. Rashim is a colleague of mine in Fiserv. I'll ask her to stand up for everyone's benefit. And the reason I want everyone to see Rashim is because she's the one who does all the hard work on the ground, so I can make all the presentations on stages like this. So sometimes, once in a while, it's good to recognize the fact that you're standing here because there are a lot of other people doing things on the ground. Thanks, Rashim. This is what we are going to cover today. We'll talk about the building blocks of organizational excellence. And one thing I would like to state right at the outset, nothing that we're going to talk about in this session is rocket science. It's all simple, commonsensical stuff derived from the experiences of people like you and I. So it's not something that we have discovered all of a sudden. It's It's something that we have learned over a period of time. And the best thing about management practices is if you put them in a framework, they start making sense. So that's what we have tried to do here today. So what are the building blocks of organizational excellence? Amber mentioned it briefly: people, process, and technology. Now, if you look at the three dimensions, technology, what is it that drives technology in organizations? It's the business, right? The demand, the customer, the work that you get, and the work that you see yourself likely to get. So you invest in technology for today, and if you're a progressive organization that thinks for the long term, you invest in technology for what you may be doing tomorrow. Right, so technology is not something that, as an organization, you can plan too much of a journey around. It's largely dictated by your business today and your business tomorrow. What about process? So that's an area where models and frameworks such as the CMMI have placed a lot of emphasis. But if you look at both technology and people, you still are not addressing the technology and process, you still are not addressing the people dimension to the extent that you should. And why? Because go to the CMMI, go back to the CMM before that, and we find they talk of the knowledge, the skills, and the process abilities that are required to perform a role that you're performing today. Does the CMM or the CMMI or any other model talk about the role you'll be performing tomorrow, or the role you would want to perform tomorrow, and how you get equipped for that role? None of the process areas in the CMMI talk about it, right? So the CMMI is primarily a process improvement framework, and therefore its focus on people is limited. And what we are going to talk about today is, given that high maturity organizations have derived a lot of benefits from the CMMI, what can they do to make their benefits more sustainable and to make these benefits become a key ingredient, a key component of their organizational success, long-term success? So this is actually taken from the People CMM. This diagram is from the People CMM. The one, I'll try and see if I can use this. The base at the bottom is what the models such as the CMMI consider. So the CMMI believes that you must have the knowledge, skills, and process abilities to perform the role that you're performing. So if you're a developer, you must have those capabilities to do what you're doing today. But if you're a developer today and you want to grow into an architect tomorrow, the CMMI is not the place to look for, right? It will not give you much insight into what you need to do. And if you have a lot of such people in the organization, what you as an organization need to do to make that a sustainable career path for your people is not something that the CMMI either seeks or is able to address, because it's a process improvement framework. So high maturity is fine as long as your focus is, and high maturity in the context of what we are talking of today is fine as long as your focus is process improvement and improvement in your process capability. But organizations don't run only on